Welcome in, everyone. This is Sean with MTG808 Jr., and today we are going to be digging into a Green White Dinosaur Ramp deck. If you haven't already, you should check out our previous video about green red kind of mid range aggro dinosaurs. But as I mentioned in that video, there's a ton of different ways to build the dinosaur deck, especially because it spans over 3 different colors instead of 2 different colors. So today we're going to be looking at a green-white version, but before we jump into that deck, just want to make sure that everyone is aware. We are going to be running our Youth Championship Scholarship Tournament in May. So if you are a student enrolled in K through 12 and you live on Oahu, and you like playing Magic or you're thinking about playing Magic, you should definitely check out our upcoming tournament. First place is going to be walking away with $500 in scholarship, and second place will be getting $250 in scholarship. And the format is going to be Standard Pauper, which is the format that we're going to be talking about today. All right, we're going to move over here to the deck list, and you'll have to excuse me. I am fighting a cold at the moment, so if my voice sounds a little different, that would be the reason why. But we're powering through it to get these videos recorded for you all. So here is the Green-White Dinosaur deck. If you want to look at the text version of the deck, there will be a link to this in the description. But we are going to be looking at the Magic Online in order to better evaluate the deck. And this deck, it's a ramp deck and it's a dinosaur deck at the same time. And I'm honestly not that sure how good this is going to be in the metagame. We haven't really seen a ramp deck really do well since Ixalan rotated the format. But you know, this is kind of my first stab at trying to design a ramp dinosaur deck. At our most recent tournament, we had a 3-colored ramp dinosaur deck come in second place. But it really struggled against the control deck that it lost to in the finals. So this is kind of my attempt to, keep the deck very rampy, but to still kind of make sure that you have the tools to beat a couple of different archetypes, as well as to just be more consistent, right? We're only playing 2 colors instead of 3 to make the deck more consistent. So the goal of this deck is really to draw the game out and then win with a big giant dinosaur, probably with a sweet enchantment on it, right? We got Cartouche's Strength and Squire's Devotion here. So if you saw our green-red dinosaur video, you'll notice a lot of similarities here, right? Commune with dinosaurs. This is probably the best reason to be playing a dinosaur deck right now. It's essentially a split card, 1 green. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can choose to put a dinosaur or a land card from those top 5 cards into your hand. So if you keep a land light hand, you can go dig for lands. If you keep a threat light hand, you can go dig for dinosaurs. This card, very good at smoothing the deck out. Probably the best incentive to build around the dinosaur tribe right now. So we have Commune with Dinosaurs, which was also in the green-red deck. We have Druid of the Cowl, which was also in the green-red deck. 2 mana, 1/3, tap it to make a green mana, right? If you play this guy on turn 2, you can be playing your 4-drops on turn 3. Maybe even your 5-drops on turn 4, you never know. So Druid of the Cowl, very solid. And then we were only playing 2 Ravenous Daggertooth in the green-red version, because that version was more about trying to deal damage to the opponent than to gain life and pad our life total. But since this deck wants to take the game long, us gaining life is going to be very important. So having 4 of this guy, he'll probably trade with somebody, he'll probably gain some life along the way. He's a dinosaur, he just kind of does it all. He fills in our 3-drop on the curve. And then moving up the curve, overlap from the green-red deck, we've got Knight of the Stampede. Dinosaur spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, and he's also a 2/4 body. So this guy is going to let us kind of play our 5 and 6 drops without necessarily needing 5 or 6 mana sources in play. And there's always the god draw of playing Druid of the Cowl on turn 2, playing Knight of the Stampede on turn 3, and then playing like a Colossal Dreadmaw and a Grazing Whiptail, right, in the same turn, right? This will be 4 mana. I'm sorry, you could play a Colossal Dreadmaw and a Ravenous Daggertooth in the same turn. Um, right? Or a Sun-Crested Pterodon and a Grazing Whiptail, right? So you can play two kind of medium to large dinosaurs in the same turn as early as turn 4 if you have turn 2 Druid of the Cowl, turn 3 Knight of the Stampede. Same as with the green-red deck, we're only playing 3 Knight of the Stampede because if you draw it late, it's not that good. It's just a 4 mana 2/4, which is an okay body, but it only really shines if you play it early in the game when you have a lot of dinosaurs in your hand, and you're able to like cast 2 of them in the same turn. So Knight of the Stampede, very solid card, great dinosaur payoff, but we don't want 4 of them. And then the last overlap card here is Colossal Dreadmaw. We were only playing 2 in the red-green ramp deck, or in the red-green mid-range dinosaur deck, but here, because we're more of a rampy deck, we're playing 3. It might be correct to play 4. I had 4. I started with 4 in the list, and it was one of the cards that got trimmed as I was trying to make room for everything. But Colossal Dreadmaw is a very solid card. Now, some of the things that are absent from the green-red build is we're playing less 2-drops. The green-red build had a 2-drop that could start attacking very early. It was a 2 mana 2/2 that when it attacked, you got +1/+1 if you controlled a dinosaur. We not only can't cast that card because it was red, but we don't really want that card because we're not trying to start attacking our opponents early. We are trying to take the game long and take over with one of our fatties. So instead, we're playing Consulate Skygate. It's a 2 mana 0/4 defender with reach, right? It's not going to be killing your opponents, but it is going to do a very good job of kind of stopping them from attacking you, right? This guy blocks a lot of the early creatures in the format. Not all of them, right? There are some Death Touch creatures, some unblockable creatures that people play early, but like the flying creatures, this guy will block with no problem, right? So this is a good kind of speed bump. You don't want too many of them because you do eventually need to win the game, and since this guy has Defender and no power, you're not going to be winning the game with this card, but you do want to make sure you're getting to the late stages of the game with your life total intact, and this is going to help you with that. So we're playing Consulate Skygate. And then some of the other differences that we are playing here. I'm going to get into the enchantment package in a second, but first I want to talk about Sun-Crested Pterodon. So this guy's a 5 mana 2/5 with flying, and it has vigilance as long as you control another dinosaur, right? Having 5 toughness means that there are going to be very few cards that can kill this in one hit, right? There's some black removal that can kill this in one go, but besides that, I guess the pacifism enchantments, right? The compulsory rests or the unquenchable thirsts or the water knots will be able to answer this. But the red burn spells don't kill this in one hit, and this guy can pretty much block everything, and if you have another dinosaur, it can also be attacking, right? So he plays offense and defense at the same time, which is exactly what this deck wants to be doing. You want to play a big guy to stop them from attacking you, and then slowly kind of take over the game. Grazing Whiptail is a new addition for this deck as well, which also plays that role, right? The 4-drops we played in the green-red dinosaur deck, it was like a 5/3 trampling 4-drop if you controlled another dinosaur. That's great if you're trying to attack, but we're trying to block and make the game go longer, so Grazing Whiptail here is a 4 mana 3/4 with reach, right? Again, we're going to be able to block flyers. He can block ground creatures too, right? He's a really good brick wall to just try to de-incentivize your opponents from attacking. So we're playing 3 Grazing Whiptail, 4 Sun-Crested Pterodons, right? And then we have an enchantment package here, which is kind of the way that we're going to be looking to pull ahead, right? We want to make the games go long, and our payoff for making them go long is we get to play 5 and 6 mana creatures, which is nice, but we also get a nice enchantment package, which is really tied together with this card, Benefaction of Rhonas. So it's a 3 mana sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card and or an enchantment card from among them into your hand, and then the rest into your graveyard. That and or part of this card is really important, because if you reveal the top 5 and you have both an enchantment and a creature, then you essentially get 2 cards for this 1 card. So you're getting card advantage if you play this and you reveal an enchantment and a creature. You won't always reveal both, but you will be able to choose whichever one you need, right? So this is kind of our card advantage, lets us pull ahead. In the game, once we kind of have the board under control, we have some breathing room. We can cast Benefaction of Rhonas, get ahead on cards, get some of our more powerful enchantments, find a window to cast them, and hopefully take over the game. So the 4 of enchantment that we're playing here, Compulsory Rest. We've seen this a lot in the white aggro decks that we've been building. Being able to just make a creature not attack or block for 2 mana is very good. No matter how big the creature is, that creature is not attacking or blocking, right? Your opponent can sacrifice the creature if they spend mana in order to gain 2 life, which we're completely fine with, right? We don't really care about our opponent's life total until we have the game well under control, ideally. So the drawback on this card is almost non-existent, but just 2 mana, enchanted creature can't attack or block. That's very good, especially if you get it off of a Benefaction of Rhonas. So Compulsory Rest is a 4 of here, great removal spell, right? You can play it on turn 2, you can play it on turn 6. No matter when you play it, it's probably going to be great. Moving up the curve, we've got 3 more enchantments here. Cartouche of Strength. Green and 2 colorless, enchant a creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, you may have enchanted creature fight target creature an opponent controls. Right, so enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and trample. So for 3 mana, you get to grow whatever creature you put it on, ideally one of these bigger creatures that you have here, and have that creature fight something which is ideally smaller than it, so you'll be killing it. Right, so you get to bump up your creature a little bit. Right, Colossal Dreadmaw already has trample. Suncrested Pterodon, giving it trample might be relevant. Giving one of these guys trample might be relevant. Excuse me. But it's the fight ability that this deck really wants, right? It's just having a little more removal, giving your guy a small bonus and killing a creature. It's kind of card advantage, which is what this deck really wants to be working towards, since it's trying to play to the late game, right? In the late game, card advantage matters a lot more. So 3 Cartouche of Strength, another card that you can get off of Benefaction of Rhonas. And then last but not least, we have Squire's Devotion. This card is a new addition from Rivals of Ixalan, and it might be the best reason to be white, or to pair white with green for the dinosaur deck. Being able to give a giant creature lifelink is just, it's so swingy, right? You could be on the brink of death, you barely stabilize with one of your big giant dinosaurs, and then you slam this down, and then you start attacking your opponent, and start just regaining control of the game, right? Especially if you have it on your Vigilance dinosaur, you gain life when you attack, and then if they try to attack you back, you can block with it and gain more life. Right? A 7/7 trample lifelink is very strong. A 3/6 Vigilance lifelink is very strong. Even just a 4/5 lifelink with reach, right? Very strong. So Squire's Devotion gives enchanted creature +1/+1 and lifelink, and when it comes into play, you get a 1/1 white vampire. Right? The white vampire token, it'll be nice. It'll be a speed bump, like if your opponent has a very wide board and you're playing this to try to stabilize, then the vampire token will be relevant. But most of the time, the vampire token will just be gravy. You're really just playing this card for the first ability to give one of your giant dinosaurs lifelink, right, and try to take over the game that way. So we have 10 enchantments here in the deck, which are going to help us, hit 2 targets with Benefaction of Rhonas. Hopefully, that is enough to kind of turn Benefaction of Rhonas into a draw 2 instead of a draw 1. But when it is going to be a draw 2, it's going to be great, right? Getting a creature, there's 23 creatures in the deck, you're almost guaranteed to hit a creature in your top 5. Like, it's not a for sure guarantee, but like 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit a creature in your top 5. Maybe about half that time, you're going to hit an enchantment as well. So, pay 3, dig for a giant creature, sometimes draw an extra card. I think that that is worth trying to build the deck around, especially when you're already playing some good enchantments. Like, the deck for sure wants Compulsory Rest no matter what. It for sure wants Squire's Devotion no matter what. Cartouche's Strength is a little, borderline. It's not the greatest card in the deck. There might be other cards that could fill this slot a little bit better. But since we're trying to play Benefaction of Rhonas, and this is really one of the only ways that this color combination can get card advantage, like pure card advantage, I think it's worth trying to play a couple more enchantments and trying to get those 2-for-1s out of your opponent. So that's the main deck. You may notice that the curve on this deck is very, very high, right? Almost every other deck that we've looked at so far plays way more 1-drops, usually more 1-drops, and for sure more 2-drops than this deck currently has. So this deck kind of has a weaker early game, but makes up for it with a much stronger late game. And that weaker early game can really be addressed in the sideboard here. So when we take a look over at the sideboard, we see a lot of very cheap spells, right? Fragmentize, probably one of the best sideboard cards you can play if you're playing white, right? We've talked a lot about Inventor's Goggles and Hone Kopesh, being able to kill them for just 1 mana. Very, very powerful effect to have in your sideboard. Naturalize does similar things, but at instant speed. I don't know if there's too many artifacts and enchantments that you want to kill that cost more than 4, but just in case there are, Naturalize is still very, very good. Being able to kill the equipments at instant is also relevant. And then we have some cheap interaction here. Moment of Triumph. It's a pump spell. Just, standard 1 mana, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. This one also gains you 2 life, so it kind of helps pad your life total to help you get to the late game against the aggro decks. So if your opponent is trying to attack you early, this card will be good at kind of padding your life total. Slash of Talons is another card. If your opponent is trying to attack you with a bunch of small creatures, Slash of Talons will help kill one early in the game, right? When you might not otherwise be able to cast a spell, Slash of Talons is cheap. I don't know which one is necessarily better. Like, Slash of Talons is probably better on turns 1 and 2. Moment of Triumph is probably better in turns like 3, 4, and onward. So it might be right to have like a different split on these cards, but I think that you want to keep both of these cards in mind when trying to sideboard to cover your aggro matchup. And another card that we have that is good against aggro and also kind of good against control decks as well, so it's good against both aggro and control. Here is Martyr of Dusk. 2 mana, 2/1. When Martyr of Dusk dies, create a 1/1 white vampire token with lifelink. If the reason it's good against aggro is because it can block a creature, and then when it dies, it makes a second blocker, which is very good. 2 speed bumps for 1 card is always very good. Against, against control, it's an okay sideboard card because you want to start attacking control as soon as you can. The more time that they have to kind of line up their answers against you, the better the game is going to go for them. And Martyr of Dusk allows you to start attacking, and then if they use a removal spell on it, you'll still have a creature left behind to keep kind of trying to pressure them. So Martyr of Dusk will probably come in against control, but also a very good tool to have against aggro as well, since it can be a speed bump. The last card in the sideboard is just the 4th, Squire's Devotion. This card is just so powerful. I think that the deck wants to have access to 4. It might be right just to have 4 in the main deck and probably trim a cartouche. But I think just having an extra enchantment in the board is also relevant. Yeah. So the weakness of this deck, if you play against a control deck like the one that won our tournament this past weekend, we're going to be making a video on that deck and publishing it in the next couple days. But if you play against a control deck with this deck, you're going to have a really bad matchup. The Dinosaur Ramp player from our tournament who came in 2nd place, they found that out the very hard way. Ramp in Standard Pauper has a very, very bad control matchup. But besides that, I think that this deck has its other bases covered. It is prepared to be able to deal with creature decks. and just kind of tries to go a little bit bigger than the rest of the creature decks. And hopefully it'll be able to survive some early damage, right, and then take over the game with your giant dinosaurs and green card advantage. So that's the Green White Dinosaur Ramp deck. Hope you guys found it interesting. If you get to try it out, let me know what you think of it. And this is just another way to build the dinosaur archetype. I have another red-white aggro build that I'm going to be making a video of in the next couple days, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, I think that because Dinosaurs spans the three colors, white, green, and red, there's at least 3 different ways to build the dinosaur deck. 4 if you include playing all 3 colors. I'm hesitant to play all 3 colors though, but I think that there's lots of different ways to build the dinosaur deck. I'll want to explore a couple of different ways, mostly because I would love to see dinosaurs be a competitive deck in the format. Everyone loves playing with dinosaurs, so I would love to see this deck do well. So if you're thinking about playing in one of our upcoming tournaments, consider picking up this deck. Our next tournament scheduled is February 10th. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be at the Planet, so you should check that out if you are interested in playing. You can play this deck, you can play your own deck, you can play another deck from our channel, but we would love to see you there. It's the best place to get practice for our May scholarship tournament. And last but not least, if you enjoy the content that we make here, please like our video, hit that subscribe button if you want to keep getting updates on Standard Pauper content, and also please consider becoming a Patreon subscriber. All of the tournament prizing that we do, especially this scholarship tournament, all of the prizes for those tournaments come from our Patreon budget. So if you want to support Youth Magic here on Oahu, or you just want to support Standard Pauper content, please consider becoming a patron over at MTG808 Junior. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron. If you want to get your name on one of the plaques in one of the local game stores here on Oahu, you have to donate $10 a month. But either way, any amount of support helps. And especially subscribing to the YouTube channel, liking the videos, leave a comment. We read every single comment that gets posted. So if you have a thought on the deck, if you want to give us any feedback, please do so. We would love to hear from you. So thanks for stopping by. Happy Standard Paupering, and we will catch you next time. Cheers.